Hi, everybody. I'm still tired.
Same.
Still tired. Welcome to Geek the F Out. I am Johnny.
I'm Kayla.
Kayla. We're here to talk about the final season of Lost.
Indeed, we are. We here. We are queer, and we are ready to party.
We had
we had a party.
We had a eventful weekend, which is why I'm still tired.
Yep. We did indeed.
Say hi to Thanos Copter and Johnny Plastic People. And Thanos is caught up. Look at that.
Wow. Yep.
Good job, Thanos.
Bow. Wait, we need some, like, actual reactions. That's not a good one. Wow, it cuts off my bun when it does that. There we go. Yay! So proud of you, Thanos. Also, I like... I don't know what happened the other night, but, like, you know when acid reflux happens?
Yeah.
I feel like it, like, burned my throat so much that it's still weird, so I apologize in advance for clearing my throat. I swear I'm not sick. I promise. I'm not sick. So, just an FYI. I'll try to mute myself as much as I can when I do that, but yeah. At least I hope I'm not sick. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I'm not sick either.
Yeah, I've been taking my counterattack. I've been a good girl.
Which I was
good girl.
Worried about with all the traveling in airports that I might pick something up. But so far, so good. We'll see if that holds out.
All right. So yeah, we're going to talk about season 6, all the episodes. We'll kind of talk about them as a whole as well, because I feel like it's really hard to just break down these episodes without talking about bigger picture stuff. So that on Friday when we talk with Ralph, we'll talk about season 6 in review a little bit with him, and then we'll talk about the premiere stuff so that we'll have plenty of time to do both on Friday. Any other housekeeping things before we get into it?
No Trek Retrek tomorrow. I'll put a post up. We weren't able to record this weekend because Los Angeles. We'll see. Hopefully we can get back on track.
Hopefully.
We try, and then stuff happens.
Life happens, unfortunately. But yes. Excuse me. Welcome. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, please, and thank you. This is my, I don't know what to call this makeup look. It just kind of happened. Anyways. It's kind of like retro-y, like 80s-y looking. Sorry, I'm really close to my microphone.
Colors.
Kind of. It is green, blue, and purple, not light blue, dark blue, and magenta. But similar enough. Yes, our tickets. So, unlike other weeks, I got really, what's the word? Fed up with writing the summaries down because it's really hard for me to summarize things, first of all, and second of all, I feel like sometimes I get so into it that I forget things. So I'm just going to skim through Lostpedia, which luckily has pictures to accompany their stuff, which is the best thing for me because pictures will be like, oh yeah, that happened. Yeah, and then we'll go through the episodes, hopefully a little bit faster than normal. We'll see. It is the last season, so who knows. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of combine LAX Part 1 and Part 2 because that's honestly how they do it. So yeah, episodes 1 and 2 are titled LAX Part 1 and LAX Part 2. On the island, we have the Man in Black as Locke. He has now had Ben kill Jacob and pretty much telling Ben goes out and is like, Richard, you need to talk to him. And then Alana and Bram try to figure out whether they want to go in the statue with Richard or not. And inside the statue, Bram with some other dudes try to fight the Man in Black. But of course, Man in Black turns into a smoke monster and kills them all. And then, and then Ben's like, what the fuck are you? Like, he's so confused about, like, what's just happened, you know, because he thought Locke was Locke and realizes, nope, Locke is dead, actually. He is not. So who the fuck is this dude? And, basically, let's see. Oh, at the, temple. That's right. Okay, sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit. I think I'll stay at the temple. Or not. No, I think the next one is the temple. Okay. They broke it down into different things, so that's why. That makes sense now. Yeah, because I was like, how are they already talking about the flares from the temple? Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Basically, yeah. Meanwhile, the flares from the temple come out, and so then they're like, oh shit, that means that Locke's, or that Jacob's dead. But they wouldn't know that without them. Anyways, sorry, I got very confused there for a second. At the Swan Station, we pretty much, you know, have Saeed, who has been shot, and Juliet, who is, you know, unfortunately dies in Sawyer's arms, which is very, very sad. We love Juliet so much, and this was hard to watch. Were you gonna say something, Johnny?
No, I'll save it. I was right, though. That's what I was gonna say. I was right. At the end of last season, I said I don't think she was dead, and she was not. She was not dead. She dies.
No. Yes.
But
she's dead.
Now she's
dead is dead.
DED dead.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, they try to figure out what to do with Saeed, and Jacob tells Hurley, you know, you got to take him to the temple. And so then Jin, Hurley, and Saeed go back to the Swan. They find Juliet, and pretty much Sawyer is super upset with Jack, blames him for Juliet's death, and tells Kate, like, I'm going to kill him, which is fantastic. And, you know, not surprising that Sawyer says that. But it's also, I don't know, it's very heartbreaking, especially because we've seen Sawyer come so far, and then to kind of just, like, revert back to, like, oh, I'm just gonna kill him. Like, sucked. Anyways, we can talk more about that. So they go to the temple, and they meet Dogen, and, you know, they see Cindy, who was one of the stewardess on the plane. So it's pretty much all the others that are left. And they bring an Ankh. Is that how you say it? The, like,
Ankh.
Egyptian cross. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it was in Hurley's suitcase, or not suitcase, guitar case that Jacob gave him. And in that, it says, like, you know, you need to pretty much, like, not kill these people from Jacob. But he has to smash it open to do that, which I totally forgot about when rewatching it. I was like, oh yeah, he has to smack it open, doesn't he? And then, you know, Hurley goes and talks to Dogan, and he's like, bro, you can speak English, you know, and that's when he tells him that Jacob is dead. And then they send out the flare. Let's see. Oh, so they end up putting Saeed's body in the water in the temple to try to revive him. And at first it doesn't work, but by the end of the episode, he does end up waking up. Which, were you expecting that to happen, Johnny?
No. When it didn't work the first time, I thought that he was done. And then,
yeah, he was bye-bye.
Yeah, he's outside of the water for a while before he starts thrashing around and wakes up.
Yeah. And then we have the flash sideways, which, you know, we'll talk about this at the end. We, you know, find out later what exactly the flash sideways are, but a new type of flashes. And we basically see, you know, right after there's some turbulence on 8:15, you know, which was essentially when they started to crash at the beginning of the show. But some things are just a little bit different, like Rose and Bernard are comforting Jack, and then Desmond takes a seat near Jack, and there's a whole bunch of things. So we see Charlie in the lavatory, and he overdoses, which doesn't happen before. And we see Hurley, who says he's the luckiest dude alive, which is different. And yeah, just all these little things are different. I can't remember if there was anything really like significant though. And like Locke and Boone talk to each other. He says he went on the walkabout, which of course later we find out he's lying. Yeah, let's see. Charlie. I think that was pretty much it. Oh, and then we see when they land in LA and Jack finds out about his dad's coffin not showing up, which I was like, that's a really big thing to fuck up. And then Jin and Sun get pulled to the side, and they find that he has like $25,000 with him that he didn't declare, and they're like, what the fuck is that about? And then let's see, Claire and Cousin Kate's talk to the marshal. Oh yeah, and then Kate escapes with the marshal's gun and coat. And then she sees Sawyer in the elevator, and he lets her go, even though later we find out that he's a cop. And then Jack and Locke meet each other when they're in the... what do you call it? Not baggage claim, but, you know, trying to find their lost things, because Locke lost his bag.
Yeah, I don't know... just whatever Oceanics like customer service for baggage. They had an office,
But yeah, pretty much the 2 episodes that I got.
Lost and found.
Yeah, Lost and Found. Basically Lost and Found, but bags.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the 2-part pilot? Or not pilot.
Premiere. It was interesting. Like at first with the airplane scenes, I thought, because we ended the last season with the bomb to hopefully stop any of the stuff that we've seen from occurring. So they want you to think that it worked. But then later when Desmond shows up, it's like, well, Desmond wasn't on the plane originally, so I don't know that this is actually an alternate timeline. Like, because even if the bomb, although Desmond, I don't know, because if the bomb worked and essentially, I guess, wiped out the electromagnetic field, Desmond wouldn't have been there working, pressing the button. So I don't know. We find out what it is later anyway. And then we see that there's a weird sequence where they like just, and I get it, but I also don't really know what point it served when they like they have this really weird music and the camera goes underwater and shows like the foot of the statue and like the whole island's underwater. It's like,
oh yeah, I did forget that part.
what
It's to throw us off.
Yeah.
In the flash sideways. Yeah. A lot of people thought it was an alternate reality.
They definitely wanted you to think that. And then when we get Kate in the tree, like they went on with the sound effect to stimulate like her ears ringing from the explosion. It just went on way too long. I'm like, we get the point. I get it.
It did go on for a while.
And then Sawyer and Jack start fighting with each other immediately. And I'm just thinking, like, if they killed Juliet just so they had an excuse to make Sawyer an asshole again, that's stupid.
Yeah. I was like, maybe not.
Growth for Hurley, he's not just fainting at the sight of blood anymore. Like, Jin is...
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Saeed is in bad shape. And Hurley, I think he says, oh, that's gross. But that's it. Like, I thought it was funny when Charlie on the plane asks Jack, am I alive? And Jack says, yeah, you're alive. And Charlie says, terrific. I'm like, he doesn't sound at all excited.
Nope.
Yeah, we have Unlock. I've been calling the man in black as Lock. I'm calling him Unlock. Unlock.
Unlock. It's great.
He just seems to vanish, and the smoke monster seems to conveniently show up at that time. But then he says I think it's to Ben, I'm sorry you had to see me like that. And I'm like, oh, he is the smoke monster.
Indeed. And we see later how he is created.
Mm-hmm. You covered all of that. Yeah, we don't really see exactly what the paper that was in the Ankh says. All they tell them is that if Saeed dies, they're in a lot of trouble. And I don't know if it was specifically that, or if it was just, I figure it was just the list of candidates that were still alive and they needed to be kept safe.
Could have been. That's how I always took it.
Unlock says that Locke was the only one who didn't want to leave because he realized how pitiful the life he left behind was. When Unlock goes up to Richard and says, it's good to see you out of those chains. When I first watched it, I didn't even think about it. I took it metaphorically as in like not in service to Ben and Jacob anymore, but we find out later, like it's a literal chains. And then we see poor Arst gets his luggage run over after Kate hijacks Claire's taxi. Arst is also a goober who was bugging Hurley about Mr. Clucks.
He was on the plane. That was funny.
That's really all I have written down. I mean, they were fine. It was interesting trying to figure out, so what's up with the LA. And it was, because I glanced at it at first, and I just thought, like, the title of the episode was LAX, like the airport. But there's apparently a space between the A and the X. So it's not just, like, Los Angeles Airport's call signs. It's LAX. So that's a little interesting tidbit, too.
Yeah, I think they did a good job throwing people off with that. I vaguely remember, obviously questioning what the hell is this? Is this like which of these realities is true, essentially? So my notes were LOL Bernard thinking he can hold his pee for 14 hours. That's a UTI waiting to happen. And then when Bernard says, now I know how the laundry feels when it's in the dryer, when there's the turbulence. I thought that was really funny. Mm-hmm. And I had to say the smoke monster CGI looked way worse now than it did in the first and second seasons. Like, it was bad.
I think they were trying, because they were trying to make it move more dynamically, I guess, and do more things.
I guess. I don't know. And, you know, as always, we must protect Rose and Bernard at all costs.
Yes.
It was cool to see Cindy with the others, as well as the two kids that, you know, have noticeably grown up since then, since it's been 3 years. And then I liked Locke's line of, I'm not a what, Ben? I'm a who. Let's not resort to name calling.
I thought
that was funny.
Good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously they had to do a bunch of effects this season, but
that whole
I don't know
underwater sequence for the showing the
bad.
Island underwater was extended and unnecessary.
And normally we like things extended, but not this. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways, shall we move on to the next?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Episode 3, What Kate Does, which I'm sure you saw. What?
I was going to say, because we're half an hour in and we've only finished the first two, so.
Yes. Well, we started late, okay? What Kate Does, which I'm sure you saw this title and you were like, damn it. But it is Kate and Claire centric. I'm just going to do a really quick summary. Thank you, TV Guide. Sawyer escapes from the temple and Kate leads a search party to find him, joined by Jen. Back at the temple, the captors diagnose Saeed. There's a darkness growing inside him, Jack is told. And in LA, Kate escapes from the airport after commandeering the taxi occupied by Claire. Yeah. That's honestly better than I could have done.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rob McElhenney is back again. Which he was in season 3. He's in Always Sunny. He's besties with Ryan Reynolds. Did the Wrexham show with him. Yeah.
The dark-haired guy.
Sure. He plays Aldo.
Yeah. Since you're snacking and muted yourself, I'm guessing I should go through my notes. Kate says she can track Sawyer because we never found out how she can track people. She just can, apparently. She feels bad after in the non-LA, the LAX reality. She feels bad after she finds all the baby stuff in Claire's bag, which it wasn't like she didn't notice that Claire was pregnant. She ends up going back for her. Saeed apparently is infected, needs to take a pill or it will spread. Claire goes into labor. Kate apparently helps birth Aaron in every timeline. Like it's a fixed point.
Well, she doesn't help until
but she's season. There.
Yeah.
She's there at Aaron's birth. Kate finds Sawyer sulking in Dharmaville in his and Juliet's house. Ethan is Claire's doctor at the hospital. Kate's talking with Sawyer. She says, I'm sorry, I never should have followed you. Sawyer says, which time? And I said, any of them?
Mm-hmm. I thought that was funny too.
Jack and Dogan are talking and Dogan's playing with a baseball and Jack says, what's that? And Dogan says, it's a baseball. He has a later line too where he gives him a cup of tea and Jack says, "What's this?" And Dogan says, "Tea." And Jack actually laughs because Dogan is just very straightforward. The pill for Saeed is poison because I'm assuming that the process that they tried to do to Saeed is the same thing that was done to Ben when he was a kid and was shot and didn't quite take right for Saeed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They say
he might
that
have been too far gone.
Yeah. Kate finally makes a decision and just leaves Sawyer behind to his own devices in Dharmaville. They say that
He's
the closest
fuck him.
The closest thing they can say about Saeed is that he has been claimed, presumably by Unlock. They said there's a darkness growing in Saeed, and once it reaches his heart, everything he once was will be gone, which is kind of basically what they said about Ben. And they say it also, they're talking, Dogan's talking to Jack. He says it also happened to your sister. So I guess something happened to Claire too. And then at the end, we see Claire save Jin from Aldo and whoever it was that he kept telling to shut up.
Yep. Indeed, we see that, which my only two notes were, LOL, not Rob McElhenney coming back. And then RIP Rob. That was it. Those are my two notes for this episode.
Thanos says, "Yay, Mac," but I think is his character on Always Sunny. And then Quip says it's a canon event.
It could just be for his last name.
Oh, yeah.
Just don't say headcanon.
I presume for talking about Kate being there at Aaron's birth.
Yeah, which, once again, she doesn't give birth till the final episode.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because she does leave before she has the baby.
Yes.
All right, maybe not.
It's at the concert. And Kate helps
her.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'm
just
tired.
So people don't get confused. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm still tired. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that episode.
All right. Moving on. Episode 4 is The Substitute. This is a Locke-centric episode. Mr. TV Guide, because I think it's a Mr., says, on the island, the Locke monster seeks out Sawyer to join him in his mission, while in LA, Locke suffers a repercussion from his trip to Australia, but receives a helping hand from a familiar face. Katie Seagal is in it, aka Helen.
Yeah. Helen's back.
She's back. It's nice to see them have a good relationship. Mm-hmm. But also, once again, fuck Randy. Randy can go suck a dick. We still hate him. Also, if you see him on IMDb, he's kind of hot now. And I'm like, damn it. I'm like, no, you're a piece of shit. Why are you hot? So what did you think of this episode? What were your notes?
I LOL'd at Locke falling into the sprinklers out of the van when the wheelchair lift stopped. And then, yay, Helen. She came out to help pick him up. Locke is a naughty boy who skipped out on all of the conference activities. Like, he actually went to Australia for a work conference and didn't go to any of the work stuff, so he's fired.
Which, how he approaches it makes it seem like he thinks he can get out of it. I'm like, bro, no. You went there on the company's dime. Of course you're getting fired.
Mm-hmm. They talk about the candidates, and I was like, what are candidates? We find out. Sawyer has Unlock figured out. Speaking of finding things out, Sawyer's got him pegged. Then Locke Locke is leaving with all his stuff and starts just throwing a tantrum, and it's Hurley who's there, and Hurley owns the box company and takes care of Locke, tells him to go to his temp agency. Because Locke tells him what happened.
Helps him out.
Yeah, Locke tells him what happened, and Hurley's like, "Oh yeah, talking about Locke's boss. That guy's a jerk."
Yeah, Randy's a douche.
Sawyer sees a kid on the island, and Unlock is surprised that he saw him. Richard tells Sawyer that Unlock wants to kill everyone. Rose is the supervisor at the temp agency. Unlock tells James he's close and was flesh and blood like him before, says he's trapped and has been trapped for so long he doesn't remember what it's like to be free. And now apparently Unlock is stuck as Locke. Like he can't, we get confirmation later, that he was someone else. But now he can't change. He was Christian. Then when we saw Christian before, it was Unlock.
A man in black. Indeed, he can't change anymore for whatever reason.
Ben actually had a really introspective moment where he says, John Locke was a believer, a man of faith, a much better man than I will ever be, and I'm very sorry I murdered him. And then this is at Locke's funeral. Lupita's is like, this is the weirdest damn funeral I've ever been to.
Yeah. Can always count on Lapidus to have those great lines.
And I wrote,
but
black and white imbalance on the scales. Well, not anymore. And Unlock's like, inside joke. And then we see the candidates with their numbers. Locke is 4, Reyes is 8, Ford is 15, Jarrah is 16, James is 23, and Quan is 42. We don't know yet if it's Sun or Jin. Could be both. Could be either. Then we go to Locke being a substitute, and Ben works there too, apparently. Ben teaches European
substitute
history.
Teacher.
Yeah. And then they say the candidates, one of the candidates will become the new Jacob now that Jacob is dead. Unlock says it's just a damned island. Like he says there's nothing special about it. It's just a damned island.
That's what he wants them to think.
That is. We've definitely seen that is not the case. Yep. No. And that's all I have written down.
Okay. Yeah, my only other note besides fuck Randy is Locke's alarm sounds exactly like the hatch alarm, which obviously they did on purpose.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
What?
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Wow, I'm shocked. I don't know why this did that. Okay. Shall we move on to the next?
Yep.
All right. Episode 5, Lighthouse. This is a Jack-centric episode. At the temple, Hurley tries to persuade Jack to accompany him on an ill-defined mission at Jacob's behest. In LA, Jack has difficulty communicating with his teenage son. And in the jungle, Claire rescues Jin and tends to his wound, but he sees a hardness in her he hadn't experienced before. And that's the episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is where you start to, like, because Not Island Jack has the appendix scar from where he had his appendix taken out, which we saw happened, was that back in season 2? Season 3?
I think it was 3 or 4. When Juliet takes his appendix out.
Yeah. Now, his mom says he was 7 or 8 when he had his appendix out, but
Mm-hmm.
And he has a son, apparently. It's like, what the fuck? I liked Hurley's line, I just lied to a samurai. The statement, you have what it takes, apparently means something to Jack. Island Claire is proper cracked. She's got a fake kid in a crib using animal skulls. She says she's not by herself. She's cracked. She's gone nuts. I just think of Iago from Aladdin. Claire, get a grip. Good grip.
I haven't watched that in so long.
Hurley and Jack talk about going to the temple, and Kate wants to go, but Hurley essentially says she can't go, and she's not invited. And Jack's like, "Well, I'm inviting her." It's like, Jack, you don't have the authority. You're not authorized, Jack. You can't just invite people.
Nope.
We see, the Rubber Ramada. I've heard Rubber Room. I haven't heard Rubber Ramada before. We see Jack's in his dad's office going through his things in fake LA, and we see is it McCutcheon? Was it gin?
Whiskey. Yep.
They find out about Claire and Christian's will. On the island, Claire's gone all MacGyver. I'm like, Claire is going to cut that guy's appendages off. Hello, Jeremy. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. Good to see you on Sunday. Yeah. So fun.
They are back near the caves that they lived in for a while, and they find a discarded asthma inhaler that was Shannon's. Back in, I'll just keep calling it LAX, or XLA. Ooh, XLA. Back in XLA, Jack gets home and his son, whose name is David, is gone. He goes to David's mom's house and uses a key to get in, and then listens to all of his child's voicemails. Like, dude, what the fuck? Invasion of privacy much?
Just a little bit.
Back on the island, they find a lighthouse. Why did Jin wait so long to tell Claire that Kate took Aaron? Like, you could have led with that.
Yeah.
My camera just went kaput, apparently.
Bye, camera. Nice knowing you, Johnny.
Whoa.
And it's back. And you're frozen.
Sort of. Yeah.
Kind of.
Let's do this.
And he's gone.
I'm still here.
You're gone.
Ooh, spooky. Nope.
Spoopy.
I'm going to have to restart the camera, but that's not a big deal.
Okay.
What did I say?
I don't know.
Why did Jim wait so long to
ADHD.
tell Claire that Kate took
yes.
Aaron? Like,
yes.
And then she kills the dude anyway.
It's a great question.
I gotta restart the camera on my phone, apparently.
Oh, no.
It's being real weird. Okay. It's been... First, my microphone wouldn't work at the beginning of the night. Now my camera's borked.
We're doing great tonight, y'all.
Leave for a weekend! Jeez. Claire kills the dude anyway, and then Dogan and his kid are also at the auditions with Jack and David. At first, the way that Dogan asks Jack how long David's been playing, and Jack says he doesn't know, and I took it as like he didn't even know he played piano, but we find out later that he did. Back at the lighthouse, we see worldwide monuments showing in the mirror as it moves. There's names around the outside edge aligned with degrees. Jack immediately is fucking up the plan, tells Hurley to turn the lighthouse to 23 degrees. The mirror shows Jack the house he grew up in. I'm like, so what does turning it to 108 degrees do? And I'm like, Jack's going to break the lighthouse mirror. God damn it, Jack. He broke the lighthouse mirror.
To no one's surprise.
Yeah. David says he never let Jack know he was playing the piano again. He didn't want Jack to know because Jack was too into it. He didn't tell him about the audition because he didn't want to see him fail. They have
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
But they have a good moment after it. Like Jack tells, I think it's right away. Jack tells him it doesn't matter if he can't fail. Like
exactly.
Jack doesn't want to be the same as his dad. Because I think, was it this episode too where Jack asks his mom why David would be afraid of him?
Yeah.
And his mom's like, why don't you ask him?
Yeah. And also, like, you know, Jack was afraid of his dad, so. Mm-hmm. If so facto.
And now,
like daddy, like son.
Yeah. Now back on the island, Jin says he was lying about Kate raising Aaron and says the others have her baby. The Aaron's at the temple because he saw him there and he needs Claire to take him there.
Why you always lying?
And then the friend that Claire mentioned is Unlock, and she knows that he isn't John Locke, that he is the Man in Black. And that's all I have.
He is. So my very introspective and thought-provoking notes started with partially shirtless Jack. ... And I said, LOL, Hurley writing the instructions on his arm. And then I did appreciate Hurley's be cool man plan that he does with Jack, which he does the same thing with Sawyer in, what was it, season 2, I think, where he's like, be cool. Like, don't look around. Like, blah, 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 blah. I thought that was funny. That's pretty much it. Okay. Shall we move on?
Yes.
All right. Episode 6, Sundown. I found slightly longer summary, like in the middle. Saeed asks Dogen why he wanted to kill him, and they fight. Dogen banishes Saeed from the temple. Meanwhile, Locke and Claire head to the temple, and Claire tells Dogen that Locke wants to see him outside of the temple. Wow, this person really made a lot of spelling errors. Dogen asks, they did Sogen instead of Dogen, asks Saeed to kill Locke to prove that there is goodness in his soul. Kate returns to the temple, and Miles tells her that Claire is a prisoner there. Kate talks to Claire, and she says that, wow, that's why. Okay. I understand now why there's so many mistakes. I think it's translated because it says this person's from Brazil. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Kate tells Claire that she raised Aaron in LA. Saeed stabs Locke in the chest, but he doesn't feel anything. Locke asks Saeed to tell Dogen and his people that they have until sundown to leave the temple. So Saeed destroys the only protection of the temple, aka Dogen. In the parallel reality, Saeed visits Nadia and her husband Omer, which is his brother, who tells him that he has been threatened by dangerous people from whom he borrowed money. Omer is stabbed and goes to have surgery, and then Saeed is abducted by Kimi. So Kimi's back. And I love the last sentence of this synopsis. He gives the ultimate solution to the situation. Like, we're supposed to understand what that means. Hello? You're muted.
For which?
Let me see. I think they mean hold on. I think they mean when he kills them.
Mm.
Yeah. But it's just funny that that's the last line that they use.
So I have Saeed and Nadia. The kids call Saeed Uncle Saeed. And Nadia is apparently married to Saeed's brother. The kids...
Oh, sorry, real quick. And then we find Jin in the freezer or fridge, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saeed has presents for his nieces and nephew. I couldn't remember exactly what the kids are. For the kids. And they find a picture of Nadia in Saeed's bag, and it gets real awkward. Real awkward. Yeah. Saeed, and I keep referring to, because I missed his name until later. I know now that it's Dogan. But since Hurley said...
He doesn't say his name at first, so...
Yeah, I just lied to a samurai. I keep referring to him as the samurai in my notes.
Yeah.
But the falling baseball somehow keeps the samurai from killing Saeed. We find out why later. We unlock is evil incarnate and will kill everyone on the island. Samurai wants Saeed to kill him. And then Saeed tries to kill him and doesn't. And I'm like, he specifically told you not to let him talk. And he let him speak.
Yeah.
He said hello,
hi.
Saeed. You should have stabbed him sooner.
Yep. I thought the same thing.
Like, you can't... He's like, don't let him speak. And he did. He stabbed him right after he said, hello, Saeed. And then that was too late. He already got you.
Too late.
We find out in XLA that apparently Saeed pushed Nadia towards his brother on the island. Claire is nuts. Like, mixed nuts.
Mixed nuts. We love nuts.
I have nuts. I have wasabi and soy sauce almonds. That's not what you thought I was referring to, was it?
Anyways.
Nuts. Right here. See my nuts?
If anyone's just listening to this.
I'm holding up to the camera a container of bold wasabi and soy sauce almonds. Those are my nuts.
Everyone, Johnny is showing you his nuts.
They're good nuts. Saeed kills the monsters.
Wanna get nuts?
Monsters. Let's get nuts. Saeed kills the mobsters that his brother owes money, and then finds Jin in the freezer, like you said. Jacob saved Dogan's son's life, but Dogan had to come to the island. Saeed attacks Dogan and drowns him. His assistant says he was the only thing keeping Unlock out. Saeed says, I know. And that scared
That's
Ben
when you
shitless.
know. Ben was like, walking away. Slowly backing away.
Yeah, Ben says to Saeed, I know a way out. There's still time. And Saeed just says, not for me. And it's the first time I feel like I really remember Ben being terrified.
Scared,
Scared. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for when, his daughter was killed, which that was obviously also sadness, but...
That wasn't fear.
I guess maybe more shock.
Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. This is true.
And that's all I have.
Yeah, my only note is, LOL, not Miles saying Claire is still hot, though. Because that is such a typical Miles line. All right, moving on to episode 7, Dr. Linus. Let's see this summary. Ben flees and meets Alana's son, Miles, and Frank, also escaping from the attack to the temple. Alana gives the ashes of Jacob to Miles to know how he died, and he tells them that Ben killed him. Alana forces Ben to dig his grave, but Locke offers him the chance to escape. In the flash sideways, Dr. Linus plots a Machiavellian scheme to overthrow Principal Reynolds and occupy his position, but he sacrifices his plan to help student Alex Rousseau. That's the episode.
I like the
yeah, basically.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh.
I was going to jump into my notes. So.
I was going to say, basically, yeah. Whatchamacallit? Is he? No, he's high school teacher. I was going to say professor. Dr. Linus. I'll just say Dr. Linus. Yeah. He does history club, and Alex Rousseau is in it, who we met at the premiere. And it was very nice.
Tanya.
And
awesome.
Yes. And basically she tells him how she knows that the principal was fucking the nurse like while she was in the nurse's office. And so originally he tries to take it to the principal to blackmail him to get the principal's position. And he's like, oh, but like, don't you really like Alex Rousseau and like want her to get into Yale? So like maybe you shouldn't do that because I won't write a recommendation letter if you do that. And he decides not to because he likes Alex as his student. That's weird to say liking when it's that kind of relationship. Cares about her. How about that?
Yes, he is invested in her academic career.
Yes.
Because there's no... Yeah, there's no... it's done well. The relationship between them is done well. It's not done in a creepy Kirk and Miri way. Like...
Ugh. Can't do that anymore. No more Kirk and Miri. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this episode, watching it for the first time?
The interactions between Ben and Arst are really interesting. It's just funny, the two of them in the like teachers' lounge together. What a coincidence. Alex is apparently in Ben's class. Ben's dad mentions the Dharma Initiative.
Yep. So they went to the island. In this universe.
Jack and Hurley end up running into Richard. Lupita's was supposed to fly 8:15 originally, and he didn't because he overslept. Wow.
Wait, you didn't already know that?
No, I don't think I did until this episode.
Well, we knew that he was supposed to fly it before.
Did we? I might have missed that.
From... Remember the episode where we get all the backgrounds of the people from the freighter? So like Lapidus, Naomi, Daniel Faraday, Charlotte, Miles. It was in that episode when he watches the footage of the plane in the ocean, and he calls in and he's like, I was supposed... Yeah, that's when we find out.
Oh. I must have completely forgotten about that, or didn't think at the time. It didn't strike me as important because I didn't really know who the fuck Lupita's was then, and it was like it's just another pilot. But now he's a character that I'm invested in and like.
Well, like, I mean, he was a character at that point.
Yeah, but we barely knew him.
Okay.
Right? Like, that was right when he was being introduced. Anyway,
you keep telling yourself that.
When Alex makes Ben promise not to tell anybody, I'm like, yeah, Ben's going to break that promise. I knew it was going to happen. And it kind of did, because he threatened the principal and told Arst. Didn't tell him where he found out, but...
Yep.
Miles tells Ben that Jacob was hoping he was wrong about him all the way up to the end. They're back at the Black Rock, and Richard says he needs to die. Richard says about Black Rock, of all the time I've spent on this island, is the first time I've ever come back. And I'm like, he was totally on that ship.
Yes.
I called it.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and
Good call.
I'm like, Jack is a gambler, and they have their conversation. I'm like, so is Jack the man of faith now? Like, he's not the man of science anymore. He's the man of faith, because he starts talking about destiny and like things that are meant to be and all that in this episode with this, like with Richard. Like, he says he can't die, and then the dynamite goes out at the end.
Indeed.
The principal
of done with him yet.
Yeah, the principal of the school is Walter Peck from Ghostbusters. I was like, hey.
Yes, he is. He's dickless. That man has no dick.
That man has no dick.
My roommate's probably like, what the fuck?
I wrote Jacob's bodyguard. I know now that it's Alana, but I kept like, I'm like, she's not Ana Lucia.
She's been around since last season.
I know, but anytime like I try to remember her name, default. I know. I default to Ana Lucia because they're so similar. I know it's Alana, but she says that she will have Ben after Ben says he's going to unlock because he's the only one who will have him. And then she said they would have him, and it was sweet. And then we come up to the submarine with some real sinister music, and Charles Widmore is in the sub. I keep spelling his name wrong. I keep spelling it W-Y. How are you spelling it? W-I.
Oh. Interesting way of spelling it. My only notes besides dickless for this were LOL Miles going, uh-oh, to Ben. He like says, uh-oh, and walks away. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I forget what it was in reference to.
I think it's like Richard says something and Ben's like shocked by it and Miles is like, uh-oh. He just like has those like little lines that are so funny. And my other note was not weird at all, a student showing up to a teacher's house.
Yeah.
Just a little weird. Just a little weird. All right, episode 8.
8.
Recon. This is a Sawyer-centric episode. What is happening? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
The internet is being weird.
It's
okay,
not
Recon. There we go. Huh?
The internet is not interneting?
The internet is not interneting. So anyways, on the island, Locke asks Sawyer to row to Hydra Island to investigate the situation. Sawyer finds all the passengers of Flight 316 dead and only one survivor, Zoe. And then we find out, she's not a survivor. She is Lane. And, she's one of Widmore's people. And so he's captured by them and brought to the submarine. And that's where Widmore proposes for Sawyer to betray Locke. In the flash sideways, Sawyer is a LAPD detective working with Miles. He is obsessed to find the man that destroyed his family, aka Sawyer, the OG Sawyer. He has a one-night stand with Charlotte, but his obsession affects his relationship with Miles and Charlotte. Out of the blue, Sawyer arrests a fugitive, which ends up being Kate. And that's the IMDb summary. What were your thoughts watching this for the first time?
The first thing I've written down, and I forget who it is, but someone said, I can get you off this island. And I wrote, was it Ben? Or...
Oh, that says to Miles because he tries to bribe him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, do you want this money? Do you want this dick?
But I'm like, and how many other people have said you can get off the island? How has that worked for you so far? Not great.
Not well. Definitely
yeah,
not well.
the Sawyer being a cop thing really threw me for a loop. I'm like, oh, this old con again.
Really?
And then I said, what? Yeah, what the fuck? Sawyer and Miles are cops?
Mm-hmm.
And then Island Yeah, Island Sawyer says, I'm with no one. And that's right. Sawyer will always primarily be on Team Sawyer.
Yeah. He'll only do it for himself.
Unlock admits to Sawyer that he is the smoke monster.
Yep.
And yeah, so Charlotte is Sawyer's blind date, and like you said, they have a one night stand. And she asked to borrow a T-shirt, and he says it's in the drawer. But then, like,
not quite a one night stand.
She was totally snooping.
Almost. I mean, she opened the drawer and she saw it. It was there. He told her to open the drawer.
Yeah, but she went digging, and then she pulled the file folder out and starts going through it. Like, I thought it was a setup. I thought she was snooping, like, trying to get something on him.
No, just normal human snooping.
I said, the zoo is Hydra Island. What's with the wind chimes? There was, like, I think it was part of the score, but it sounded like there were some, like, weird wind chimes on the island.
At what point was this?
Someone was sneaking through or walking through the jungle. I forget who.
I don't know.
It was after I wrote Go Claire and before I wrote, oh, that's Charlie's brother.
Liam?
Yeah. But it was on the
because
island.
he's at the station to get...
Yeah.
Got it. Yes. I was like, wait, when does he show up? That's right. That's right.
Total blast from the past with Little House on the Prairie on the TV. I was like, wow.
Indeed.
Kate just wrecks into Sawyer, and then Sawyer sees who she is and says, son of a bitch. And at first I'm like, Kate must definitely be Sawyer. She's just Sawyer's type. But then I'm like, oh, wait, he recognizes her from the airport.
From the elevator, because he let her go.
Yeah.
And then that's when she's like, oh, well, you let me go. So that means you don't want people to know that you were there. Kate's smart. I know you don't like her, but she's smart.
Listen, Allison's not here in the chat, so I can say I don't hate her in these last 2 seasons.
Sure, Jan.
That's all I had. That was the end of my...
Oh, okay.
I have to put these nuts out of reach.
Johnny is putting his nuts out of the way, everyone. So I thought it was funny how Sawyer gets called Dimples, because it's kind of like Freckles, but Dimples. Mm-hmm. And then his, like, code word to when he wants other people to come in is LaFleur. And I thought, and this is before we find out, but I thought it was weird that Sawyer let Kate go in the elevator, even though he saw her in handcuffs. And then, obviously we find out from Kate that he didn't want people to know he was in Australia. So.
And acted like he knew, because
I
had to go back and rewatch the first episode to get better notes, because when I first put it on, I intended to just see if I was right about, like, how they were going to handle time travel in the alternate reality, and ended up watching the whole episode without taking notes. So I had to go back and redo it. But, like, he doesn't act like he's like they say on the walkies, we got a 342 or whatever in progress. And he's like, what's a 342? How am I supposed to report one if I don't? Like, he fucking knows.
Yeah.
He may be a cop, but he's still a con man.
He is. Indeed. Indeed. Shall we move on to the next?
Yes.
Episode 9. Ab Eterno. Guessing that's how you pronounce it. This is a Richard-centric episode. What?
I was just... my very first note is Richard episode, like in all caps. Like, I was excited.
Yes. He's great. I still want to know what mascara he uses. All right, so Alana recalls when Jacob asked her to protect the 6 candidates to replace him. Alana asks Richard what to do next, and he leaves the group, telling them that he has no idea. In a flashback in 1867 in the Canary Islands, Richard, aka Ricardo, travels in a stormy night to bring a doctor to help his beloved wife, Isabella, who is dying. However, the doctor does not want to help him because he doesn't have enough money. And they end up fighting, and Richard accidentally kills him. But when Richard gets back home, Isabella is already dead, and Richard is sent to prison to be hanged. But before he does, he ends up being sold as a slave because he knows how to speak English, and travels to the New World chained aboard the Black Rock. There is a tsunami, and the ship knocks into the statue in the island, and that's how it lands in the middle of the jungle. And the smoke monster kills everyone else, and the man in black helps release Richard. And soon he learns that there is a fight between the man in black and Jacob. And so that's when he finds out that the man in black believes mankind is evil and Jacob believes mankind is good. And he offers Richard immortality to work for him, but the man in black tells him that his offer is still open. Which is why he's like, I'll take your offer. And I was like, no, don't do that. Please don't. Please and thank you. And that's the episode. What did you think of it, Johnny?
We find out that Alana says that Jacob says there are 6 people she needs to protect. The remaining candidates. Sun is the Quan candidate, apparently, not Jin. I swore that I heard someone call Richard Ricardus. Like, they call him Ricardo.
Yeah.
But I thought I heard them call him Ricardus.
Yeah, they do.
Which made me think, like, he's even older than...
I feel like that's Latin, maybe.
Maybe. I loved... So, Richard, what do we do next?
Look it up.
He's just... He's lost it.
Yeah. He's been on the island a little too long. Yeah, the Latin version is Ricardus.
It says,
It means
I have
powerful,
Canary Islands.
hardy, brave, and strong ruler.
Canary Islands in 1867. I said Hurley must have been talking to his dead wife. And then...
Wow, good catch.
Yeah. I wrote, wow, that priest is a dick. And then I wrote, actually... That priest is way more than a dick. Because first, he tells him he can't forgive him. And he takes his fucking Bible. Like, leave the man his Bible so he can keep reading if that's what he wants to do. And then he sells him into slavery. What the fuck? I guess it's better than... Is it better than being hanged and killed? Like, I guess at least with slavery, you have a chance to escape. And not have your life ended, but
do you?
I don't know No, I mean there's a
Let's
chance.
not get Kanye West up in here and say that slavery was a choice. No.
I'm not saying it's a choice. I'm just saying as
I know.
Life ending.
I'm making a joke.
Sorry, I don't follow the news. So
it was a while
I'm not sure
ago.
I even know what you're talking about. But I knew Richard was on the fucking Black Rock, and they proved it.
Yeah, you did. That was a good call. So
thank you. This is a much more hands-on Jacob, like trying to drown Richard to prove that he's not dead.
Yes, he does get more hands-on as it goes this season.
Hurley says Ricardo's wife Isabella said that Richard needs to stop the man in black from leaving, or they all go to hell. And then my last note, this was really cool. I enjoyed this episode, but it seemed like a weird time to do an episode that doesn't really do anything to move the plot forward.
I mean, it's smack dab in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the best place to put it. Just saying. I feel like any later and it's like, okay, things are moving. Why are you slowing down the pace? You know?
I'm thinking, like...
Just saying.
we could have gotten like I would have expected it earlier, but if it's earlier, it might give too much away. It just seems it's probably the best spot for it, but that doesn't mean it's a great spot for it.
Totally. Totes.
But that's it. That's all.
Totes
I have.
my goats. My only notes are: wish we got more background on Alana and Jacob's relationship. LOL, Richard being the audience by saying they're all dead. Those are my 2 notes. That's it.
Episode 10.
Yeah, I really think we should have gotten more about Alana and Jacob.
Yeah.
Besides that one short scene, because she had said like, oh, he was like a father to her.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways, yes, episode 10, the package. He. This is Sun and Jin centric. On the island, Locke leaves the camp and Charles Woodmore's team attacks his group and kidnaps Jin. Meanwhile, Sun is planting in her old garden and out of the blue, Locke appears and tells her that Jin is on the other side of the island, but Sun does not believe him and flees from Locke. However, she hits her head on a tree and when she awakes, she can only speak Korean. Richard returns with Hurley to the group and he wants to destroy the plane. Locke returns to his camp and sees his group has all been, shot with tranquilizers. There we go. That's the word. He awakes Saeed and learns that they have been attacked. Locke goes with Saeed by boat to the other island to bring Jin back since he wants to leave the island. Locke meets Charles Woodmore and he says that he does not have Jin with him, but Charles asks Zoe to bring a package from the submarine, and we find out that package is Desmond. In the flashes, Jin has the $25,000 taken from him in customs. And so Sun and Jin go to a hotel and they have 2 different reservations because apparently they're not married. And, what? Anyways, they spend the night in the restaurant, together, not in the restaurant. And the next morning they are woken up by Kimi, who wants his money. She explains that the money was taken by customs and offers to go to the bank to give her money to him. Kimi brings Jin with him to the restaurant. Sun learns that her bank account was closed by her father, and Jin discovers that the money was the payment for Kimi for killing him. Once Saeed breaks into the restaurant, he releases Jin, but Sun... this translation. But Sun is coming with a gangster to the place. Basically, Sun ends up getting shot.
Mm-hmm.
These translations, too good. Anyways, what did you think of the episode? Did you bring your gangster to the place?
We find out. I don't know if we knew before, but like the MK Ultra room with like the psychedelics and the videos and the speakers and whatnot is room 23.
Yes.
Mikhail is the eye patch man from the island. Speaks like 9 languages apparently.
Yes.
Which tracks because that was the Flame. Was the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Always bring gangster to
yes,
the place.
Drake. Always.
They say go get the Arab guy. I'm like, Saeed? The 25, we find out the 25K was for what's his nuts to kill Jin.
Yep. What's his nuts? Speaking of nuts, they're over there. I can't reach them. The packages are who, and I was like, is it Gian? Like I thought it was gonna be Sun and Jin's kid, but it's Desmond. Yeah, Desmond. And
going off the, like, if you view XLA as a, like, as an alternate reality, what would their lives be like if the reset had worked? Everybody is arguably worse off if they don't crash on the island. Like, they're all in some shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's all I have.
I feel like Locke's was okay, except for Desmond came into things. Like, Ben's was definitely better, and, like, he had a relationship with his dad. I feel like Jax is better. Kate, not so much. Kate's about the same. Anyways, we know that's not really. No crash, no squirrel, baby. My only note is, once again, someone sneaking up on Sun in her garden. Take a drink every time that happens.
She needs to surround it with, like, tripwires and bells.
She really does. She really does. Shall we move on to the next? Episode 11.
Yes.
Happily Ever After.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. So yes, this is a Desmond-centric episode. I hate these ads that take up half the page. Desmond learns that he was abducted by Widmore and brought back to the island. Widmore's team prepares to perform an electromagnetic test with Desmond and accidentally kills one of the men during that preparation. Desmond is sent to the parallel reality in Los Angeles. His mind is, where he meets Widmore, and apparently he's working for him. He's assigned to release Charlie from jail to play at a charity event promoted by Eloise, who's there for their son Daniel. Desmond invites Charlie to go to a 5-star hotel to play, but Charlie pulls the steering wheel of Desmond's car and throws it into the sea. Charlie refuses to play and tells him to look for Penny. Desmond visits Mrs. Widmore. Why do they say that? Eloise, to let her know that Charlie will not play. And he meets Daniel, who is a musician, and tells him that he feels misfit in the world. Daniel tells Desmond where he can find his half-sister Penny. When Desmond meets her, he awakes in Widmore's camp. Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go.
My first note is that Widmore says, instead of scheduled, he says scheduled. Does the scheduled. I said, what's the test? Something with Desmond in the EM field, presumably, and it is. The bunny's name is Angstrom, and what the fuck is on its neck? It looks like it has a massive cyst or abscess on its neck, which makes sense because guinea pigs are.
I didn't notice that.
What's the word that I want to use?
I have no idea.
Not vulnerable.
Prone to that?
Yes, prone. Guinea pigs are prone to getting like cysts and abscesses, and rabbits are not far off from guinea pigs, so I imagine it would be similar. That dude in the EM cabin got absolutely fried.
Literally.
Professional Desmond is weird, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it is weird.
Professional Desmond is not real, and he can't hurt you. I was like, alternate reality or shared hallucination / simulation. I say, Dan! And then, Desmond and Penny have their little adorable meet cute in the XLA. And then...
at the stadium.
Yeah. And then I have consciousnesses merging across, like when Desmond I think he touches Penny and he gets flashes of his memories. I'm like, is it consciousness merging across two realities? What is the LA stuff really? XL, we know now. But
let me know now.
Well, no, I said we know now that we finished the show. But at the time, it wasn't clear exactly what it was.
Indeed.
And then
Vulcan mind meld. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is everything I have.
Nice. Well, I have nothing.
Okay. The next episode is episode 12. Everybody loves Hugo. They fucking better, because Hurley is awesome.
Yes, and we got to talk to him at the premiere, and that was
We did.
really cool. He was very nice human. Pretty much what you would expect him to be like, and he's very funny. All right, this is a long summary. Okay. It kept, every time they put this, whoever translated this or whatever did a really shitty job, because it says in the island instead of on the island. On the island, Hugo grieves at Libby's grave. Out of the blue, Michael appears and advises that many people will die if they go to the other island. Alana brings dynamite from the Black Rock, but has an accident and she arts herself. We also met Arts, and he was very nice too. He put his hand on me, so I got some arts on me. The group follows Richard through the woods until the Black Rock that is blown up by Hugo. He tells everyone that Jacob is there and asks them to talk to Locke. Richard does not believe him and tells them that they will destroy the plane, and Ben and Miles follow him. Later, Hurley tells Jack that he has not seen Jacob, and talking to Locke was his idea. Meanwhile, Saeed arrives at Locke's camp and shows and we see Desmond is tied up to a tree. Locke asks why Widmore brought him to the island. While they're walking through the woods, they see a boy, and Locke asks Desmond to ignore him. They reach a well, and Locke throws Desmond into the well. Then Hurley brings his group to meet Locke. In the flashes, Hurley is elected Man of the Year of Los Angeles due to his works for charity. His mother arranges a blind date with Libby, and she asks if he remembers her, but Dr. Brooks takes her out of the restaurant to the mental health institute that Hurley was at before, and Desmond meets Hurley at one of his fast food restaurant, Mr. Cluck's. I don't know, at one of his fast foods. That's what it says in here. And he tells him that he is depressed because of Libby. Desmond tells him to follow his instincts. So Hurley goes to the mental institution to visit Libby, and she tells him that she has recollections of another life, of an island after a plane crash, and he invites her for a date. They go on a picnic on the beach, and when Libby kisses Hurley, he remembers his other life. Meanwhile, Desmond hits John Locke near his school and runs. I love how that's just thrown in there for the last line of the summary. Mm-hmm. And that's the episode. What did you think?
I had to LOL at Dr. Chen giving Hurley the award.
And did you hear... I'll just wait. Go ahead.
Okay. I said Rosalita, question mark. Oh, it's not Libby. Speaking of, we see Libby's grave. I said, fuck off, Michael. And then I said, it's Libby. She's still in the mental hospital. I said, and there goes Alana, just like ours. Now, you were talking about... I'm assuming in XLA, Hurley was never in the mental hospital.
Correct. He says that, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did love Hurley's line. Maybe she died to show us to stay the hell away from dynamite. They talk about Alana dying for nothing. And then they're right back to the fucking dynamite plan. What the hell? Like,
I know.
We find out why. Because Hugo decides it's time to blow up the entire ship and all the dynamite. But he probably didn't think of it until that moment, which is funny because he's like, oh. But anyway, I had to LOL at Clucketeer. Mm-hmm. And then I love Desmond. Still love Hugo and Libby together. Who the fuck is that kid? Is it the same kid that plays?
It's Jacob as a kid, yeah.
Young Jacob later. That's what I was thinking.
He's haunting him. Taunting.
In an amazing moment of introspection, Jack admits actually admits that he has to fix everything.
Yeah. He's come a long way.
He has. I wrote, well, that's not sinister or anything, and I don't know what I was talking about. I don't know why I didn't write down what I thought was sinister. And then I wrote, Desmond just ran Locke the fuck over. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all.
What in the actual dick?
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed at the beginning when Hurley and his mom are talking about like all the awards he's getting, they mentioned the Human Fund.
Yes, I did.
And I was like,
it's the Seinfeld thing, right?
It's literally from Seinfeld. I wonder like who wrote that in to the show that loves Seinfeld. I thought that was good. And then I loved Hurley's line of, how do you break the ice with the smoke monster? It's a great question. He's asking all the good questions.
Hurley's
that is for sure. He is. All right, we ready to move on to the next episode?
Yes.
Okay. Episode 13, The Last Recruit. So, no, excuse me, ad. Don't take up half the screen. Jack and Locke talk about the real John Locke in the woods, and Claire follows them. Locke tells them that he was the one who was pretending to be Christian Shepherd. Sawyer tells Hurley that he intends on using Widmore's submarine to flee from the island. Zoe comes to Locke's camp and asks for Desmond and shows... What the fuck is this word? The bellicose power of Widmore? Basically, that's when they fire on them.
Yeah.
Anyways, Locke asks Sawyer to bring...
Bellicose means demonstrating aggression and willingness to fight.
There we go. Locke asks Sawyer to bring a boat to attack Widmore and asks Saeed to kill Desmond in the well. Jackson, Hurley, and Frank leave Locke's group, but Claire follows them to meet Sawyer and Kate. Jack decides to leave the boat and stay on the island. When he reaches the island, Locke learns that Sawyer took the boat to the other island. There's so much back and forth in this season once again. It feels like season 4 all over again. Mm-hmm. Like, we thought season 5 was confusing with the time travel, but I think that was relatively easier to follow than both this season and season 4, because people are just scattering and changing groups and changing sides every 2 fucking seconds. So let's see. They leave Locke's group, but Claire follows them to meet Sawyer and Kate. Jack decides to leave the boat and stay on the island. When he reaches the island, Locke learns that Sawyer took the boat to the other island. Widmore bombs Locke's group. In the parallel reality, Ben goes, or in the /Sideways days, Ben goes in the ambulance with Locke to the hospital, and they arrive at the same time as Sun and Jin. In LAPD, Sawyer talks to Kate, and then Miles calls him to tell him about the multiple murders in the restaurant, and Saeed is the prime suspect. Desmond meets Claire when she is going to an adoption agency. He offers the free services of the lawyer Alana to Claire. Saeed tells Nadia that he is leaving and will not see her again. However, Sawyer arrests him. Alana is the lawyer that will read Christian's will to Jack and Claire, but there is an emergency at the hospital and he asks to reschedule the reading. When Jack arrives at the hospital, he sees that his patient is Locke. And that is the episode. What did you think?
You see this comment by Quip?
Name of Harry. Yes. It does. Definitely a Slytherin.
I have Unlock admits he was unchristian. Claire tells Jack, you decided the moment you let him talk to you, whether you like it or not, you're coming with us now. And whereas the summary you read, they wrote about Widmore's bellicose power. I wrote, well, shit, they have missiles.
Accurate.
Um, I wrote Alana is looking for Claire, must be for Christian's will, and it was. I said, nice trick with the hose, Sawyer. So like, Alt Saeed is trying to escape, and Sawyer's out there with a hose and tricks him.
Yeah, I thought that was good too.
I said, Rutrow, Claire sees Jack and company sneaking off. I said, Locke ends up with Jack anywhere for the surgery after being hit by the car. Jack's going to end up fixing him. I said, yay, Sun and Jin finally reunited, and she can speak English again. Well, fuck, the deal's off, and they start firing missiles at Unlock and Jack. That's all I have.
Yep. My 2 notes are we get confirmation that Christian was Man in Black, but why did his body disappear? Because Locke's body didn't disappear. So I've always wondered that. Yeah. And then, LOL, Hurley mentioning bringing Anakin back from the dark side. And Sawyer's like, what? And I was like, did he really get brought back from the dark side? Did he really? Debatable. That's all I had, though. Shall we move on to the next?
Indeed. Yes.
Episode 14, The Candidate. Sawyer and his group are arrested by Widmore's group. Okay. Meanwhile, Jack awakes on the Hydra Island, and Saeed tells Jack that Locke saved him. Now they're only 3 against Widmore, and Locke asks Jack to help him rescue Sawyer's group from the cages. Saeed turns off the generator, and the smoke monster attacks Widmore's camp. Jack opens up the cages to release the group. Locke kills the guards that are protecting the plane and removes the explosives, but he tells them that the plane is not safe. And he says they will need to use the submarine to leave the island. Jack pushes Locke into the water, but they are attacked by Widmore's group. Locke and Claire are left behind as the others get into the submarine. And Jack finds explosives in his backpack, but Jack tells them that nothing will happen to them, but Sawyer's like, absolutely not, and pulls some plugs, and then it starts counting down even faster, so Saeed takes it and runs to the other side of the submarine to save them. However, Sun is trapped in the debris, and Jin stays with her, and so Jack, Kate, Sawyer, and Hurley are able to get out, and later we find out that Lapidus got out too. In the flash sideways, Jack saves Locke and offers a chance to heal his back. Jack visits Bernard to learn Locke's history, and he tells him about Anthony Cooper. Jack visits him in a nursing home, and then he invites Claire to stay at his home with him. And that is the episode. What did you think of The Candidate?
Jack's talking to Locke. He says, I think you're a candidate. I'm like, he's talking about the surgery, but there's a definite double meaning there.
Yeah.
Locke says no.
Sure.
Kate is not on the list. Unlock is a beast. He's apparently invulnerable. There is a bomb in the plane, I assume. And we find out, yes, there is. Unlock to Claire, trust me, you don't want to be on that sub. And I knew that the sub wasn't going to work just because of how many episodes are left. Like with 5 episodes left, they're not getting off on the island in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's it is a bad time with Saeed, no. Lapidus, no, the sub door hit him. Sun and Jin are going to drown in the sub. Well, shit, they did.
Well, shit.
So we lose Saeed, Sun, and Jin. Like you said, we find out Lapidus is okay. Locke tells Jack he was in a plane crash. He'd had his private pilot's license for a week and wanted his dad to be his first official passenger. And he crashed and fucked it all up. And Unlock is pissed that everybody is not dead. That some people got off the sub alive. That's all I have.
My only notes are R.I.P. Sun, Jin, and Saeed. It was very sad. You know, it was nice to see, even though Saeed had, turned bad, that he still saved them. And it just sucks. And they mentioned this in, this isn't giving anything away, but they mentioned this in the documentary, but to like lose 3 characters of color like all at once in one episode and pretty much just like leave all white people or mostly white people left, like a hard pill to swallow. And also I still don't quite understand why Jin had to die too when they had a child to look after.
Yeah.
Like I understand he had just told her, I'll never leave you again. That's one thing if you don't have children, but you have a child. And especially because he's never even been able to meet this child or take care of her. That felt like a bit of a cop-out reason to have him die just because he promised Sun. I don't know. I think it's kind of fucked. I think most people in that situation, if they had a kid or kids, wouldn't do that.
So I'm reminded of a study that I read ages ago, and it may be different now, but there was a study done about where they asked the class, or they polled men and women essentially, if there was a fire and you could save your child or your spouse, who would you save? You can only save one. Women predominantly save the child. Men predominantly save their spouse.
But he's not saving her.
No, he's not. But he's not leaving her. I mean, that's the closest.
I don't know.
It
if
makes
that
me think of that. But yeah,
applies. It's similar, but I don't know if that applies here necessarily.
I'm thinking of it as, it is weird. It's bad writing, I think, in this. Like, I don't, if they killed them off like just for shock value, because
like, I think having Saeed die, that was perfect. Like, how he died was good. Did I want him to die? No. Do I want anyone to die? No. Except for bad people. But the Sun and Jin of it all, and for it to all be in one episode, it's like, I don't know. All right. Shall we move on to the next?
Yes.
All right. Episode 15, Across the Sea. So we get the background on Jacob and the Man in Black. A shipwrecked pregnant woman called Claudia comes to the island and is rescued by an older woman and immediately delivers 2 babies, Jacob and the Man in Black. And the woman ends up killing Claudia and raises the boys as if they were her own sons. And one day they see men on the island and she shows them a cave with a bright light inside and tells them that they will have to protect this light someday. And one day Claudia's ghost appears to the Man in Black and she shows the survivors of the shipwreck living on the other side of the island. She tells him what happened to her, and he tells Jacob to go with him to live with the other people. However, Jacob decides to stay with his foster mother. Jacob secretly visits his brother to see whether his people are bad or not. The Man in Black tells him that they will leave the island, and Jacob tells his stepmother, so she destroys all the humans and assigns Jacob to protect the light in the cave. And the Man in Black kills their stepmother, and Jacob throws the Man in Black in the cave where he transforms into the smoke monster, and their bodies become Adam and Eve. What did you think?
My first one is, who the fuck is this? Oh, her name is Claudia. Jacob was born on the island, and parentheses, Locke, end parentheses, is his twin brother. Strange lady kills their mom. Their mother makes it so they can't hurt each other. A golden cave is the reason that they're here. When you put it this way, it sounds real odd.
Yeah, definitely.
Jacob doesn't see their mother, but does. I call him throughout all this. I did write, this is kind of interesting. Because I wrote, this is kind of a blah episode for the final season, and the final 4 episodes.
Really?
She also kills Nope, not dead. Going into the light would be worse than dying. I'll see you back home. No, I don't think you will, Jacob. And kills their mother, presumably because she destroyed the well and killed all his people. Jacob throws into the cave with the light. He comes back out as a smoke monster. And yeah, Adam and Eve, mother and were the bodies in the cave that Jack and Kate found back at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
I mean, not to say it was a bad episode and it wasn't interesting. It's just, again, the placement is probably not the greatest. Might be the best for this, but still not great placement. I don't even know if we need. I don't know if we needed this.
Yeah, this could be if we needed all of it either.
A bonus episode, it just feels like filler to fill out the episode count before the end of the show. Because I don't think, if we didn't have any of this, I don't think it affects the show in any way.
No. It definitely seems like it's appeasing the fans that want to know more about Jacob and Man in Black's history more than anything. But ultimately, I mean, from other episodes and just context clues, I don't think we really need to know. I mean, the only thing that we really learn is who Adam and Eve are, which who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
And also the fact that they show the flashes back to season 1 when they find Adam and Eve, I was like, that was so unnecessary to show those. It's because anyone who's watching knows.
Not necessarily. I forgot.
If you've been paying attention. Okay, I remember. You haven't been paying attention.
I remember Adam and Eve now, but also think about
the casual fan, I know.
Yeah, the people who haven't seen.
But also, if you're a casual fan, why are you watching season 6 of Lost? Most people fell off if they didn't really care.
I don't know. I barely remembered Adam and Eve, and I watched, and it's been 6 months since I started watching. I can't imagine. Now, it also depends. Again, it's a difference in the viewing experience with this. When you're watching it live, when you're watching it as it airs, like you say, before the new season, you always went back and watched the old one. So you're always refreshing yourself on previous seasons before the new episodes come out. So you see them find Adam and Eve 12 times before this episode airs, where I only saw it once.
I don't think I rewatched it that much when it was airing. But I think because I was so ingrained in all the communities that I knew everything that happened fairly well. Yeah. Shall we move on?
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So the next episode 16. What they died for. What they dead for. Should be the actual title. On the island, Ben brings Miles and Richard to his secret room to get the C4 explosives to blow up the plane. However, they stumble upon Zoe and Widmore in the house. Widmore tells them that Jacob visited him, and Zoe says that Locke is coming. Jacob sees Hurley and asks him to bring his friends. Meanwhile, Richard decides to talk to Locke, but the smoke monster attacks him. Ben tells Locke where Widmore and Zoe are, and Locke kills Zoe. Widmore whispers to Locke why he brought Desmond to the island, and Ben kills him. Jacob tells Jack, Kate, Sawyer, and Hurley that one of them should replace him to protect the island, and Jack accepts the assignment. Meanwhile, Locke tells Ben that he will destroy the island. In the parallel reality, Dr. Linus sees Desmond in the parking lot, and he tells him that he does not want to hurt Locke. Desmond goes to LAPD and tells them that he is a suspect of the hit and run, and he goes to jail where Saeed and Kate are. Alex and her mother, Danielle, invite Dr. Linus to have dinner with them. And that's the episode. What were your thoughts?
We start with a good old-fashioned eyeball close-up. Desmond calls Jack and tells him that they found the coffin, which has to be a con. Jack is stitching Kate's bullet wound, and he's like, I get a stitch just so you're going to get infected. It went straight through. Don't you have to stitch the exit wound too then, Jack? Like, if it went straight through, she's probably got a bullet hole on her back as well, right? That also needs to be stitched, I would assume. I get it. It's shortcut, yeah. TV shortcut, like... But yeah.
You're not wrong.
I wrote, is Desmond going to run him over again? And no, he just beats the shit out of Ben.
Yeah, and that's when Ben's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Then Desmond turns himself in and is now in jail with Kate and Saeed. The smoke monster just fucking chucks Richard across the Dharmaville. Ben is a fucking piece of work. All this, he started to redeem himself, and then he just goes back. I guess you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I lost my place. My brain went. What happened?
I don't know.
Okay. Ben, you're a fucking piece of work. Now everybody can see Jacob. Talking about the replacement, I'm like, if it's any of them, it's Jack. Like, he's perfect for it. It just has to be Jack. Even if Jacob picks the new candidate, the monster could kill them. As Sawyer says, and I thought that guy had a god complex before. LOL.
That was so on point. And Kate's like, Sawyer. And he's like, I know.
And that, again, I wrote, Jack is actually perfect for this job. Anna Lucia, and she's corrupt and letting them go. LOL. And Hugo's paying her off. And I loved his line, oh, you didn't tell me Anna Lucia was going to be here.
And she's like, who are you? And he's like, oh, that's right, we never met.
And then Unlock says he's going to destroy the island.
Indeed.
And that is all I have.
My only two notes is very fitting how Jack is now the one sewing up Kate. And once again, Ben is always getting beaten up.
Yep.
Those are my only notes. Okay. Shall we move on to the finale?
The finale. Don't break stuff.
Almost knocked over my Dune pussy.
I got the Transformers turtle van.
Yeah. And pause. For some reason, IMDb doesn't really have a summary, so I'm gonna do my best kind of skimming Wikipedia.
Okay.
So, okay, Jack, Kate, and Hurley head to the heart of the island while Sawyer goes after Desmond, who is thrown in a well. When they get there, Sawyer is confronted by Ben and Unlock, who reveals that he wants to destroy the island. Sawyer then steals Ben's rifle and reunites with Jack's group. Jack then tells Sawyer that he plans to confront Unlock. At the same time, Desmond has been rescued by Rose and Bernard. And Locke comes up, who has been with him, and Unlock threatens to kill Rose and Bernard if Desmond doesn't come with him. So Desmond does. And meanwhile, Miles finds a no longer ageless Richard Alpert, because he has a gray hair, in the jungle, and they set out by boat to destroy the Ajira plane. Along the way, they rescue Frank Lapidus, who's in the water, and they decide together to leave the island using the plane so that Man in Black doesn't use it, and they still get off the island. On the way to the heart of the island, Jack's group encounters Unlock, and Jack tells Unlock that he's going to kill him, and together with Desmond, they go to the heart of the island, and what? Anyways, pretty much they lower him down into the heart of the island, and he uncorks it. Because he's immune to the pool's electromagnetic energy. Desmond manages to still be alive, and the light goes out and the pool dries up, and everything starts going to shit. Basically, he makes Man in Black mortal again, and so he and Jack fight, and Man in Black ends up stabbing Jack in... I didn't realize this, but I guess this was true, but he ends up stabbing him in the same spot his appendix was taken out. And he's about to kill Jack when Kate shoots him, allowing Jack to kick him off the cliff to his death. And the island continues to crumble, and Jack realizes they have to put the cork back in. And so he goes back there. And he tells Kate to get Claire and leave the island, and they make out. And Kate leaves with Sawyer while Hurley and Ben follow Jack back to the pool. Kate and Sawyer go to the Hydra Island via Desmond's boat Elizabeth to the site of the Ajira plane where Lapidus, Richard, and Miles have been, quickly trying to make it airworthy. Kate convinces Claire she can help Claire raise Aaron, and they head to the plane. After Kate, Sawyer, and Claire board the plane, Lapidus successfully gets it off the island. Jack leads Hurley and Ben back to the heart of the island, where Jack convinces an emotional Hurley to take over as the protector of the island, stating Hurley was always meant to be the leader. Hurley and Ben lower Jack into the dry pool, where he rescues a barely subconscious Desmond. Jack manages to restore the light by replacing the stone butt plug and is enveloped in the light that surrounds him. Hurley, in his role as the new protector of the island, does not know what to do. Ben tells him he should help Desmond get home and suggests there may be a better way of protecting the island than how Jacob did it. Hurley asks Ben for help, and Ben is honored. Jack reawakens outside by a river and walks toward the bamboo forest. After Jack collapses to the ground, Vincent approaches him and lies next to him. Jack gazes happily at the sky while watching the Ajira plane fly overhead, away from the island. Jack slowly closes his eyes as he dies. In the flash sideways, Desmond gathers many of the islanders at the concert. One by one, everyone starts to realize their connection with each other through flashes. Most of them remember their past lives and are drawn to the church that was to be the site of Jack's father's funeral. Locke regains the use of his legs after successfully being operated on by Jack. He remembers his time on the island, and he attempts to convince Jack, but Jack, even though he gets some flashes too, resists. Locke later meets Ben outside the church, where Locke forgives him for murdering him. Ben then meets Hurley, who says everyone is inside, motioning him to join them, but Ben elects to stay outside. As Hurley heads back inside. He says to Ben that he was a real good number 2, to which Ben replies back to Hurley that he was a great number 1. Kate later encounters Jack, and while her presence causes him to experience more flashes, he continues to resist. She takes him to church and instructs him to either enter through the back to enter through the back door. LOL. Telling him the others will be waiting for him. In the church, he enters a room where there are symbols not just of Christianity, but also of other faiths, such as Hinduism, Judaism, Islam, etc. He then encounters his father's coffin. He opens the coffin lid and discovers it's empty. Christian Shepherd then appears behind him, and Jack slowly comes to realize he is dead as well. After an emotional embrace, Christian reassures him that the events leading up to now actually happened, and the time he spent with the people on the island was the most important period of his life. He explains to Jack that time has no meaning in this place, and that they made this place to find each other, independent of the time at which they died. Christian explains that place exists to the Oceanics 815 survivors so they could let go and move on together. Jack and Christian go into the church to meet the others. Everyone is able to see, recognize, and remember everyone else and their lives together. After an emotional reunion, Christian opens the front doors, revealing another bright light that slowly envelops everyone inside the church. The end. And they move on. I think that's it. Yeah. Ha.
There's a whole song about it. Garfunkel and Oates have a song about that.
Do not see.
What's that?
I was just reading.
Oh, the
comments.
do not see.
Do not see.
I think it's Hurley who says, was he talking about Jacob when he says he's worse than Yoda?
Yeah.
Yep. And then he also says, I got a bad feeling about this.
Mm-hmm.
We see Charlie, Rose, and Bernard with Vincent. They said, well, shit. Unlock and Ben found Bernard. Unlock says, what was that? And Ben said, what was what? When there was like a walkie, Ben had a walkie that was squelching while they were walking. Before surgery, Jack says to Locke, I'll see you on the other side, which totally has more than one meaning there. We find Lapidus is alive. This is the first season that they even foreshadow that storms are coming. Like we get some thunder rumbling in the background, like not just sudden downpour. There's actually like Richard looks up at one point and says, "Oh, it's going to be a bad one." I'm like, "What now? You decide to telegraph weather?"
Well, out of anyone, Richard should know. He's been there the longest.
I had to laugh because Jack, during the fight with Locke, Jack just does a fucking Superman punch.
Yes. I literally put that in my notes. I said Jack and Locke's fight feels very action/superhero movie-esque, especially with Jack's jumping punch. It's so epic, though, in the best way.
I wrote, Jack gets stabbed. Guess that wasn't an appendix scar, but it probably is. It is the same spot. Ben decides to go down with the island. That makes total sense. But Hurley won't abandon Jack. Kate and Jack say, I love you. Seems like a weird time for it, but okay.
Well, they had their time. They had their time off of the island to tell each other they loved each other when they were living together. Yeah.
Miles says, I don't believe in a lot of things, but I do believe in duct tape.
Yes.
And then Sawyer and Juliet have their memories back, and that was a very sweet moment. And then I'm like, is it too late? Putting the cork back didn't work, but it eventually does. It just takes a little while. The plane takes off, water starts flowing, and the light comes back. The island is saved. Hurley asks Ben to help him. The casket's empty, and Christian is alive. And I wrote, so the church part is the purgatory. Everybody dies sometime. This is where you go to move on. And that is
basically.
all I have.
But it's the place that they made together. So technically it's not purgatory because purgatory is for everyone, which is also why they have the symbols of other religion there. So it can be any place, not just specific to Christianity, according to Christian Shepherd.
That's it. That's all I had.
That's it for the finale? That's it?
Yeah, I have lots of other, I'm sure there's lots of other thoughts, but that's just the notes that I took.
Got it. My notes are, of course, they play the marching music one last time. And then Vincent is back to save the day. And, I had the same comment about Jack's punch. And then I didn't quite understand Kate's line of, I saved you a bullet after she shoots Unlock.
Because didn't she start shooting at him earlier and they're like, no, don't. It doesn't, essentially being like, it's not going to do me any good. But she had one bullet left. She had one bullet left. That. Yeah.
Jack and Sawyer reuniting gave me chills. Not Jack and Sawyer, Juliet and Sawyer.
Jack and Sawyer. That's a different show.
I'm tired. Kate changed out of her dress in the church because remember how Desmond had her put on the dress for the concert, and then in the church she's in a totally different outfit.
So I'm guessing it's one of those, once they realized what was happening, they all became their inner view of themselves, and their clothes changed, how they picture themselves. Why was Aaron still a baby?
Yeah, I don't get that either. I feel like people have talked about that a lot, and we can get into it later, another time, Friday. I don't know.
Did we see Gian in the church? Shouldn't she be there?
Gian.
Gian? Yeah, is that how you say it? Gian?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots more we could get into about all of that.
Yeah. My last note is Vincent, the goodest boy until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
He's the best. That's why he's in all of our thumbnails.
Oh, Vinny.
He's the goodest boy. Goodest boy. Yeah. How does it feel to be done?
It's wild. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the epilogue, but I feel like we got to talk about that when we review.
No, because not everybody died at the same time. My interpretation of it is once they were all dead, they met there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But also he said it's outside of space and time, so I don't think they had to wait to move on.
Because
they didn't have to wait for everyone to die.
They also gave the implication that Island Desmond in the EMF chamber saw memories of XLA Desmond.
No, that's when so you know how Desmond's mind can travel?
Yeah.
So that's when he travels to the Flash sideways.
Yes. Gotcha.
Yeah. That's why he tells Jack, that's why he tells Jack on the island. It's I forget. He says something to the point of, he thinks what's happening on the island is also the Flash sideways, I think. And that's why he's not taking it seriously until he uncorks it. And then he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. we'll talk about it in review on Friday.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot
Mr.
more
Ralph.
about the whole thing, the season, the show, the premiere,
whole
everything.
shebang.
Whole shebang.
Yes. The Getting Lost premiere on Friday with Mr. Ralph. Maybe some other people. We'll see. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Whether you're here live or watching on the replay, make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. Thanks for geeking the F out with us about Lost. And yeah, we'll see you guys Friday to talk more. Anything else? Did I forget anything?
Nope.
All right. See you in another life, brother.